Welcome to another episode of the Parenting with Understanding podcast. Today, one member of my community is joining me. Her name is Nicole. She is a mother with ADHD and she wants to know how to stay regulated having ADHD when her child is in the middle of their dysregulation. So, this is going to be a mini coaching session, a mini support session, and if you are a parent with ADHD, you are going to benefit a lot from listening to this podcast episode. If you are watching us from our YouTube channel, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel and hit the notification bell because our mission is to help as many parents as we can bring peace to their parenting and raise emotionally healthy children. And if you want to go there to have that, this is the channel for you. Okay, I'm going to be looking here because I have Nicole here, but I'm watching you as well. If you are watching me from YouTube, let's start. Hi, Nicole.
Hi.
So you said, how do I stay regulated having ADHD during my child's dysregulation? Could you please walk me through how, like, first of all, how many kids do you have, the ages, and what's your main parenting struggle that takes you to come here and ask me that question?
So I was very blessed to have one. He is going to be 5 next month. And what brings me here, you might hear him sometimes talking in the back, but what brings me here is I've noticed that in moments that may just be, your average child having fun or just like your average child doing average children things, that I find myself dysregulated or easily ticked off. And I'm like, something's not quite right here. Like, I feel like this is something that I shouldn't be getting mad at, or I shouldn't be so bothered where I feel like smoke is about to come out my ears, or, maybe a slip of the tongue and I say something that really is not very savory. And I'm just like, oh, this is bad. I am proud of myself, I will say, for the follow-up, right? Which is like once everything is done, once I'm cool and calm and collected, I do follow up with apologies. I do follow up with a tone that lets them know, that lets my child know, I'm sorry, and I need to better behave myself. I should have used the techniques that I've taught you or that I'm teaching you. Do you forgive mommy? I will try better next time. Mm-hmm. So I'm proud of myself for that. Mm-hmm. But I want to find it where I don't have to get to that point, right? Where I can in real time catch myself, or in real time have tools and techniques that keep me from going to the place where eventually I have to apologize.
Okay, I get it. So how often does this happen? How often do you have to apologize to your, how old is he, by the way?
He's 4. He's going to be 5 next month.
Okay. To your 4-year-old.
I would say, like I could probably count on one hand in like a month how many times I find myself doing that.
So no more than 5 apologies a month. Is that what you're telling me?
It sounds so communist. Like here's your ration of like 5 apologies, right? But it's really like the last time I can remember probably was like a week ago. Mm-hmm. And that was probably like the first time in a couple of weeks. So I know that I think it's because I just do apologize that in my head I'm like, okay, I have to apologize. I have to set an example.
Okay, set an example. Do you feel that like, I already apologized for this thing? I wonder if a lot of parents feel like, I wonder if my child is really taking it as this mommy is meaning what she's saying because I'm apologizing again. Do you feel that way?
No.
Okay.
I don't. And I think the reason why is because I expressed to him that one, we're human and we're going to make mistakes and we're going to make bad decisions repeatedly, as long as we try to do it right the next time, right? And sometimes I even say to him, it's all right. We'll get it together next time. Right?
Okay.
We'll try again. We'll try for better next time, right? I never guarantee getting it correct because
Okay.
I don't know.
Okay, I want to start there, and this is going to benefit the people who are here as well. Yeah. Because a lot of parents tell me this. I already apologized 3 times for the same thing. I wonder if my kids are believing me at this point. And that comes from a wound of perfectionism. We have a lot of weight on us of we need to get it right all the time. We need to be perfect. We cannot mess up. And then we see us messing up and asking for forgiveness. And then we have this narrative of we are failing because we are messing up. So the fact that you don't have that narrative in you, then you allow yourself to make mistakes and to have compassion for yourself. I can tell that you're a mature parent. Yes, I can tell. And I can tell that you are doing great. And one thing that I want to point out as well, and I'm going to help you with your question, but this is important. The reason why I asked you how many times do you apologize in a month is because many times in our head we believe that we are screwing everything up and we do so bad, and it's not true. Like if you think about it, 5 apologies a month, I think sometimes I might be apologizing more than you. So 5 mistakes a month, 5 times that you have to say sorry to your child, that lets me know of a healthy relationship that you do have with him, because it's not about having perfect relationships. It's about having healthy relationships that when we do fall, okay, we apologize and we move forward. And so I wanted to know. Now, if you would have told me, hey, I do it several times every single day, then I would say, okay, we have a lot to work here, but it's not the end of the world. But you are telling me that you apologize 5 times a month. So you are getting a hold of your emotions very, very well. Okay. Now, is it okay if we start with your question of how do I stay regulated having ADHD during my child dysregulation? And one thing that I want to say is that it is a fantasy that social media and the parenting community, I'm talking about the gentle parenting community, has sold us, that a good parent is a regulated parent. And it's not true, because we go through a scale of regulation and dysregulation all the time. Just because we are humans, sometimes we feel calm, sometimes we feel upset.
Yeah, that brought tears to my eyes because you're absolutely right.
Sometimes you are happy, sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're frustrated, sometimes you feel proud of the things that you're doing. So the goal, like, of you have to be a regulated parent 100% of the time, otherwise you are not a peaceful parent, is not true. The goal is to leave our dysregulation in safety, meaning not turning scary when we feel dysregulated. I have ADHD and autism, and I feel dysregulated most of my day. But I do know how to stay safe. Even when I'm dysregulated, I do know and I do have tools to stay safe. So now my question to you is, your question is, how do I stay regulated having ADHD during my child dysregulation? When you are dysregulated, are you able to stay safe and while you are dysregulated? That's the $1,000,000 question.
Yeah, I would have to say most of the time, yes. sometimes when I'm driving and the tea kettle whistle goes off, I'm like, ah. Like one time it got to the point where what made me snap was when he said "scary mommy," right, and called me a monster, and I was like, oh my gosh, and I realized that was because I had gotten to the point where, and this sounds so bad, but it's true. I had to say it out loud then to acknowledge it, or else I couldn't work on it, right? Where I, for lack of a better term, like handled him like he was a dude like a dude in the street, right? That stepped to me wrong. And I was like, this is so bad. I should not be handling a child, much less my child, but I shouldn't be handling a child like this, right? You don't want to get them up in arms. You don't want to yoke them by the collar or anything like that. You really want to be able to, I really want to be able to express my anger without him being brought to fearful tears, right?
Is that your biggest fear, that he will be scared of you in the future and not trust you?
Yes and no.
Okay.
Because because I'm a firm believer in the apologies and my subsequent actions following that up and explaining to him that I'm not perfect, right? And as he gets older, talking to him, I talk to him now, but using age appropriate words. But as he gets older, telling him that, listen, like sometimes we carry these stresses of the week or of the day, and something makes us tick, and then there's collateral damage, and my duty is to protect you and protect you from such. I should not be your bully on the playground. I'm supposed to protect you from the bully on the playground. So when I saw him with like tears of fright, I was like, oh my gosh. And I just said, oh, this is wrong. This is wrong. And I haven't had a blow up like that in a while. Because that was the eye opener. But the subsequent ones thereafter, I was just like, maybe my words flew and I shouldn't have said something I said, But I had to take inventory and say, why am I doing this? Am I stressed? Did I just deal with his dad who ticks me off, right? Did I just deal with someone who, whose parenting style is much different than mine? And that's what I also had to be mindful of, like hanging out with people around their kids whose parenting style is much different than mine. It can trigger in me, or it can rub off on me, and I'm like ticked that like maybe they're not being gentle or being compassionate with their child, and I'm like, ugh, and then it ends up spilling over in this way. And I just go, oh. So back to the question, most times I am in a safe space, and I'm not really concerned about my child's safety or my safety.
Okay. I want to point something out that it could be an aha moment for a lot of our listeners and people here on the live. What you said, that I reflect on what triggered my anger, because it could be my partner, it could be the other parents, it could be something outside the dynamic I have with my child. And I want to point that out because a lot of the times we're not aware of all those other environmental triggers that play a part, and they're really the root of our triggers, of our struggle, and we attribute it to our dynamic with our kids. It's because they don't listen, or because they don't put on their shoes, or whatnot. So that's another thing that lets me know that you are a very educated, mature parent, and you're very aware. Would you allow me to share with you insight on how to help you not get there that often? Okay.
Yes,
and I say that often because we are humans and you could get there again. Okay. I see that you have sensory needs, because the very first thing that you told me when you got on this live was when he when he's just having fun and then he's loud, it bothers me so much, and it confuses me, and I don't know why it's bothering me so much if he's just being a kid. Because it might be the noise, it might be the movement around you. That's a
Right.
vestibular, the movement, the jumping on you, the pulling your shirt, the going by you and pulling your hair. That's a vestibular sensory need. And you might be a sensory avoider, you know? And the
Yeah.
noise might be something that triggers your sensory needs. Noise might bother you. Um, so it could be sensory. And you know what? When we do have sensory needs, and I'm talking specifically about us neurodivergent people, when we have sensory needs and they are kind of like the flashing lights are going off, to our nervous system feels like it's a true emergency. And to our brain, it feels like it's a true threat. So that's why it feels so strongly. And it doesn't make sense. They're just having fun, they're just loud. But because our nervous system registers that sensory input that comes through our senses at a really high volume, and we cannot tune it out. That's one thing with ADHD. We cannot tune things out. That's why we get overwhelmed. Because yes, you could be talking to me, but at the same time you were hearing everything your child said on the background. We have neurodivergent brains. That's how we work. It could get overwhelming. It makes sense. So, two things that have helped me as a neurodivergent person, and it could help you. Number one is to be very conscientious about the source of your triggers, because those little flashing lights of danger, danger, threat, threat, threat makes us believe is them, is our kids, and is really the sensory input. So number one, when that happens, for you to kind of like stop yourself in your reins and say, hey, this is the noise, this is the movement, these are my sensory needs. Number two, for you to remind yourself that you're safe. It feels uncomfortable, the noise is overwhelming, I am safe, my life is not in danger, even if it feels like it, because our brain tricks us into believing and thinking is a very dangerous thing that we need to get out of. And that's why we react. And number three, before you get to that point, once you have a full awareness of your needs, to say, hey, how can I proactively take care of these needs so I don't get in that level of dysregulation? Example, yesterday, the twins had a soccer game, and I knew it was going to be loud, it was going to be crowded, it was going to be sticky. I knew that my needs were going to be at the highest tipping point. So I prepared myself with a few things. Number one, I took this. These are not my regular headphones. These are noise canceling headphones. And I put them on not when I was overwhelmed, before it. Before it. When I got in the car, that was the first thing that I did. Second, when I got to the place, the first thing that I searched for the perfect spot or the most comfortable spot that I could have, where I would not have people walking behind me, walking in front of me, kids tipping over me. And it was like a little tiny corner in the at the end of the soccer field. And I just stayed there posted the whole time. So, my invitation for you is three things. Number one, to understand the source of your triggers. Number two, to remind yourself that you are safe, and to tell yourself, hey, this is my triggers. These are my sensory needs. And then the final point, Nicole, is for you to find coping strategies or coping mechanisms. It could be noise canceling headphones. It could be, I don't know, other things. Google them and then use them before you get to that tipping point, to that overwhelm, if that makes sense.
It totally does. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate that.
You're welcome,
Those are
Nicole.
definitely helpful too.
Yeah, you're
Thank
welcome.
you.
The last thing that I want to say is that you're a good parent
Thank
and
you.
you can raise emotionally healthy child having ADHD. And I'm saying this because as neurodivergent people, sometimes we beat ourselves up and we think like, because I have this diagnosis, I cannot be the parent that my child needs to have. And it's not true. You can be an amazing parent and have your diagnosis as well. I help parents with ADHD and autism all the time in my coaching practice, and I know it's possible. And I'm a true testament of that as well. The last
Thank
thing,
you so much.
the last thing that I want to give you is that I have a free class. If you want to find a system to bring peace to your parenting, to break free from reactions, and to raise an emotionally healthy child, I have a free class that you can access anytime. All you have to do is go to hicparenting.com. And this goes for anyone on the podcast. If you're listening, go to hicparenting.com. If you are watching us from YouTube, it's in the description below, hicparenting.com, and you can access that free class that 14,151 parents have taken and have helped to just feel more at peace, raising their highly sensitive children, being highly sensitive parents as well. Thank you so
Thank you
much,
so much.
Nico. I'm going to say bye to the people listening to the podcast and have a good day.
Thank you too. Bye.
Bye. If this podcast episode helped you, would you leave us a positive review? Just open the description. Let us know how the Parenting with Understanding podcast has helped you bring peace to your parenting and raise emotionally healthy children. If it is a 5-star review, I will highly appreciate it because it helps us get to more parents. And I want to remind you that it only takes understanding of yourself and of your children's needs to transform your parenting. That's Parenting with Understanding. I'll see you next time.